Good morning, everyone, wherever you are. We want to say good morning and hi. Whatever you're doing today is another edition of the African Actions Network radio and television station. And we have a very special guest this morning. He's Honorable James Flomayan, former chairman of the National Elections Commission. Mr. Flomayan comes with a lot of experience when it comes to conducting elections in Liberia. He has raised a very significant issue for which we think giving an opportunity to explain himself and suggest what can be done with 2020 election is important. Mr. Flomoya, welcome to 2A Radio.
Thank you so much for having me.
Okay, Mr. Flomoya, let's go straight into, before we go straight into the matters, how is life with you? How is Liberia?
Well, I thank God for life at age 72.
Wow.
I'm grateful to God at least to live up to this point. So Liberia is a case of a crisis situation, a lot of underdevelopment. We reach almost a point of, if you may wish, a failed state. But I think our people are not in a state of despair. They stay keeping hope alive, believing that they will be able to alter the situation through the ballot box. That's the aspiration of most Liberians around.
Okay, that's good. Liberia, a failed state. We will go deeply into those things, some of the comments you just made, but let's look strictly into elections. How do you look at the National Election Commission currently?
Well, Johnson,
Well, we have, I think, some a little problem over the
doing the job that is there, not just an entity of government where you can dump anybody there, and then you expect that they will perform. But at NEC, you have to show result at the end of the day.
Right.
So it's a delicate institution because I served there before as number 2 in 2004 up to 2006. Became number 1, and I know the challenges that go along with that office. So when I'm talking what I know and what we have gone through and what we are seeing now today. So to begin with, we have a board of commissioner that is disappointing to begin with. They're not the best. I love to see managing our election, but again, of course, the opposition sat there and allowed that vote to be constituted, and then the legislature, to the Senate in particular, went through the confirmation hearing for due diligence, to make sure that we have the best, some of our best to be at the commission, given the nature of that institution. So there where we are, and as we have seen at this point, because we know that everything people are going through, as I say, whatever level of suffering that people are enduring, they always say we'll wait until 2023, and we all look forward to, people going through the ballot box as opposed to any kind of violent change in the country. I think we subscribe to the democratic principle, which means one man, one vote, one woman, one vote, as the case may be. And that is, for the case of president, after every 6 years, along with representative, and senators are there for 9 years, as we know. So that is the task that the Election Commission has to perform. And as I said, given the composition of the board, as it said, they left by themselves, they can't easily carry the task of conducting election. But apart from that, In my letter I came up with recently, as former chair of NEC, as also Director General of an NGO that we established, Center for Development and Election Management, looking at the array of events that need to be covered to carry on election, I thought I needed to take a stand. First, believe that the veteran, as I said, needed to leave because she had betrayed the trust of the Liberian people, or the person that appointed her, really. Let me not say Liberian people, because the Liberian people didn't have a say in her going there. I made mention about, number one, the reason why she should go in 2020, against all advices that people gave, including the Interfaith Council, that a referendum was not necessary at that time, carrying 8 propositions to have it simultaneously with the special senatorial elections of 2020. NEC, the call of the people to suspend the referendum, which was not anything at stake really, and to say that we don't have the referendum, this thing will happen or that will happen. We needed proper planning. That there was no proper planning, and up to now, no single result came from that referendum. It's a failure on the part of the commission, and as I think as captain of the team, she should have resigned. But more than that, Jansen, the same 2020 senatorial election, there were 4 runoffs in Bombing, Bong County, Nimba, and Sano. The NEC decided to conduct a runoff election, and the chairperson single-handedly arranged for 20 thermometers that was not actually needed because you have more than 300 polling places in the 4 counties. So what were you doing? Assuming that you needed thermometer, what were you doing with 20? You may as well forget about center having thermometer and so forth, and to have 20 that couldn't go anywhere. So she got the 20 thermometer, and then the prices were for rental just for a few days for almost 10,000 US a piece, 9,166 US, which was, highly inflated. People who know about those thermometers, they said to buy and keep will not be more than 500 US to buy and keep on your own. Then you're talking about renting it at that exorbitant cost, which was criminal. More than that, who did she turn it over to IT firm operated by her biological brother. That was all news headline. I'm not sorry that I'm making. It was all in the newspaper. And then the issue came up, went to LACC. LACC found that she was guilty. They went to, I don't know what kind of court, kangaroo court, that decided to, half of the hope. But the fact of the matter is that it was broad daylight theft. And anybody of integrity should have resigned with your pictures and your brother's picture in newspaper on that kind of account. Was sufficient for you to say, look, let me just step down, because it was disgraceful, and it didn't show that she can competently, be considered chair of the NEC. And also, they kept the information secret from the PPCC in the procurement plan.
Okay.
Also a criminal act in itself, because if you are doing it in good faith, if you are going through, we are talking about 182,000 plus US for those 20 thermometers, because if you do the math, 9,166 US per piece times 20, it will give you that amount of, that amount of money. Kept it outside the PPCC plan, procurement plan rather, because PPCC will have, raised issue. What are you doing with this thermometer?
Right.
So to evade the PPCC, they kept it outside the plane, and then that money was spent. So on that ground, I think no leader except Mr. Weir that will, entertain something like that and let the person go scot-free. It could not have been the former president time, no. Not even Samuel Doe would have entertained that, to have the person. Again, political party didn't push for this little remover. She stayed there. Then we came to the ECAM, the biometric thing they talk about.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a position on the biometric thing is the best we can have, but it requires proper planning.
Right,
Time should be
right.
in your favor.
Mm-hmm.
We have never tried biometric before. We have tried the optical mark recognition OMR, which is the manual stuff.
Okay.
Nobody wants to remain backward, with the manual thing, the digital stuff, but you can't run into it. It's not an overnight thing. It's not like when somebody is turning light on, you put a switch on, then the light come on. No, you need to plan for it. We have not piloted it, in by election. So then we need ample time to have it done. They went with a company that she had apparently have vested interest in, and took the company and wanted PPCC to just accept the company. And as we are hearing now, her colleagues did not even know about this. She was doing it all by herself. But PPCC said, no, this body meet the requirement. The Chinese company didn't meet the requirement. So there was a standoff communication between she and PPCC. Of course, some journalists being paid, carrying story, in her favor. But the fight remained the fight. PPCC had a solid ground that after all that time that was wasted, they did a re-evaluation of the bid, and this board didn't meet the requirement. So now I'm hearing that the second vendor that she again, based on number 2 position she had come up with, I assume you have seen it in the social media from Councillor Tipler Reeves. I mean, the position she came up with, which was questioning her boss, that she picked up this second company that she had earlier written PPCC that the company was not qualified, blah, blah, blah. And she got the company. But besides that, look at the delivery period. If they say the time from the time they signed the contract and the time that this company will bring the material in will take 147 days. Can you imagine? We are already less than a year in election to run to election. How in the world anybody in that rifle mind, even if you had the equipment now as we are speaking, you still, people don't know about it. Election workers don't know anything about it. You need to educate people. It's still a limited time. You don't have much time. Then you talk about 147 days from this moment. Someone got to be out of their mind to think that you will have successful election with that. I mean, that's a serious problem, a looming problem that could lead into us having constitutional crisis. Because most people sitting down there, they just think that, next year elections will be at this time. And they have never been having election. I agree with the government. Well, let me not say the government, but from 2017, they have not been having election within the time given by the Constitution. When we were there, we never had election one day beyond the required time by law. Check the record. Not one day. Under my chairmanship, under 9 by-election, everything on time. The 2011, presidential and legislative election on time. It was only 2017.
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Please.
you are right. There are a lot of electoral turntables that we know and have not been held on time. But this is what I want you to see, what you can emphasize. Now you're calling for the necessary removal of the chairperson of the National Election Commissions on the basis of not living by the PPCC law, or not cooperating with the PPCC to make sure that procurement processes would have been certified before any item like the thermometer you're talking about. The Constitution of Liberia allow autonomous public commissions, and the National Election Commission is one of those. Now, the law that the the electoral laws that is being passed by the national legislature set a tenure position for the National Election Commission. What would you say if you think for any reason that this chair lady should be removed? Wouldn't that be in violation of the tenure position that is being set by the national legislature?
Yeah, tenure position is not a blank check.
Okay.
If you read through, the tenure of official can be dismissed for cause.
Okay.
Let's get that very clear.
Okay.
And in this case, I'm talking about causes, not only a cause.
Okay.
Which include theft.
Okay.
I mean, just by that, you disqualify yourself. Who would trust you to really conduct election? Because you managing the election, you should be seen as a clean person, somebody of integrity. But if you are involved in theft, then obviously you're there for the higher bidder.
With the issue of theft, I think you have all right to write the Attorney General of Liberia. He is the one to ensure that all of these integrity institutions, election commission, elections should be a matter of concern for all Liberians. Have you ever communicated with the Attorney General on the issue of theft?
No, but my brother, I don't need to hear everything hinges on the president.
Right.
The Attorney General is there, we know that. But as I said, if, for instance, we have Madam Salib as president, and someone honor Madam Salib, CDC will not have even entertained this one moment.
Okay.
If they were in opposition, they wouldn't have entertained. They would be jumping to the sky, dropping, calling for the dismissal of that person. And I don't think Madam Salib would have been waiting. So it didn't have to be just a minister to do that. It's within the purview of the president. Once the thing became public, you have to remove the person because, what qualifies you now to head an integrity institution? Tell me.
There are a lot of actors, and the reason I'm asking this question because sometimes there's no political will on the part of the president to take certain actions. So it is the pressure that comes from pressure groups that come from other state actors that make the president to sometimes take action. Like, for example, what you're doing right now, you are speaking out, you are written a communication, you are speaking out, and it will not be like the president is not aware, because some of you people who have been who are permanent citizens who have occupied this position before are speaking out. So then if political parties, for example, were also joining you and discussing these matters and taking actions, executive committees of political parties are discussing these matters and coming up with public statement, that will compel the president to take an action. Like you said, if there are causes, like you explained it, and I'm not sure that the National Election Commission has addressed itself to some of these major issues you are raising. How do you look at political parties? Do you think political parties are really positioned for they themselves to ensure a free, fair, and transparent elections?
Well, that's a good point there. I think for the most part, they have been leaning back a whole lot. I'm speaking to you as somebody who not only have done election work, but before even doing election work, I was involved in partisan politics in the late 70s.
I know that.
And, the late Dr. Sawyer were running, to be mayor of Monrovia. We were in that campaign to our throat. In the 80s, we formed a political party, the LPP, which is headed not today by Dr. Tiawon Gongo or Dr. Sawyer, who provided that leadership. Right. And people who were around saw the vibrancy of opposition. We kept it up, kept the feet of the regime on the fire. But this is lacking today. It's lacking, despite the fact that this government has provided so much ammunition for the opposition to fight it. They didn't have to look for anything. But I think they are too lean back. To say the least. Yeah, they are lean back now that they are not aware of this, and they are the key people, because an opposition is only as good as the leadership that they have. But if the leader are yearning for, the people are yearning for leadership, for a change, and the leader seem to be behind them. I mean, it doesn't go well for the process. So I think this is where I don't know when they will get from their, most of them will get from their slumber and then appreciate reality.
Okay.
We have here to wait. But I'm only looking at we are talking about timeline and what have you.
Okay.
Election is measured in time.
I
I
agree.
pray
I
in
agree.
our
I
setting.
agree. I agree with you.
Huh?
I agree with you, Mr.
Yeah.
Flomayan. The election, the timing from now to October next year is so short. So if enough preparations are not made, like for example, we talk about census. Census right now is like I would describe it as being very chaotic, not properly planned, not the people were not properly educated. So the
Yeah.
result from census may just be something that people will have, but I'm not sure. We are asking some permanent citizens whether they are being counted. But let's continue with this election thing. What's about the other commissioners? Are you really looking at the other commissioners to also realize that one bad apple will also affect the basket of apples? Are you satisfied with other commissioners, or do you want the entire board of commissioners to be changed, or to look among them and say, look, we need to keep this person, that person, and this person should be removed? Are you satisfied with other commissioners? Do you think the entire board should be dissolved and a new board be constituted?
No, I never stated that, and I think it would be unreasonable on my part to say that the entire board should leave. I don't think so. As much as I know they lack the competency and what have you, but I'm not saying that
The
the
entire
entire
board.
board should leave.
Okay.
We made a recommendation that there's a need for a counterpart commissioner to come from the AU, ECOWAS, and the UN system. At least election idea, experts in election, for them to sit with the commissioner up there, so they know, they will be able to help. Even when we had a board that I would consider a lot qualified, competent, we had international election expert with us. They brought somebody from Ghana. At some point in time, the electoral commission chair that was there at the time, the most experienced chair was in Africa at the time, Dr. Afarijan, sat with us. Nobody knows all, because election is so important. I mean, people, you can't afford to. That's something that you can't afford to miss. I mean, censor. You talk about censor. The same old thing. The lack of preparation. You take. I mean, people. I mean, that don't have sometimes the qualification. You put them in a particular position. They are there daily darling, eating money. Nothing happened. So censor money. They started eating the money when it was reported, but nobody was ever penalized until they were not prepared for this census. We all know this. But because the pressure from the international community, census was done, before any problem in 2008, I was then chair of NEC. Dr. Liberty, the contractor area, we saw it. And that was not my first census, so census 1984. This one, nothing was done. People were complaining on the field enumerator that they didn't have the first cent. And you had one woman Smith lying to the public that everything was okay. A crook, I mean, the lying to the people on a major national issue, something that brought a national shame, I mean, to us, especially to the government. Now you had nothing in place. Then you made the president to declare holiday on November 11th. So that will presuppose that you have already have your prerequisite done. And that day was the day of the kickoff day.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you declare holiday for.
Right.
You know how much loss you brought to business people? Businesses were closed, students didn't go to school, people sat home, nothing happened. Because you didn't do the basic. You didn't do the mapping, you didn't do the interview of people before. Those things should have been done. But it's just now that they are doing it, so you're trying to cook a process. But even if census doesn't work well, you can't try that with election. And you and I know that.
Right.
I can always tell people other institutions can afford to fail Finance ministry failed, people will talk here and there, nothing come out of it. The country will not be on fire. Health ministry, they ain't perform. People die at JFK doing this, that. People will just talk about it. But you don't try with election, because that's the only chance people have to either retain or get rid of a leader that were elected, the field are not performing, and new people are coming in. So you can place obstacle, and you can't do that by cutting corners. Up to now, there's no timeline because you have not settled on what are you going to do to register a voter.
Right.
You talk about biometric, you got nothing in place. As I said, this is not automatic.
I
you come
agree.
a vendor that will take 147 days. You know what you're talking about? Calculate that and see how far we're going next year.
Mr. Chairman, we do agree with you that there's a lot of things that the National Elections Commission is supposed to do before the actual time for elections. Like census. Do you think any result from census, from this ongoing census, will affect the conduct of elections?
Well, I think the way the census is something being cooked. I think that I should say, census is never close to election in the way that they're trying to do.
Okay.
And the government should have no reason why they never had census. As I said, census is done every 10 years. We had it 2008. The next one should have been 2018. All right, if we say, well, the government just came to power, fine. But how about 2019? What excuse you have for that? Why didn't you have it 2019? All right, how about 2020? You should have this thing a year before election. You talk about public statistics. In fact, we should have gone out to constituency-based election based on the census result that you have in time to be able to delineate various constituency, because we are still using electoral district, which are for emergency period. We have long past emergency period.
Wow.
Our law is used to constituency-based election.
Right.
So that we have a clear threshold. But as it is, some of the electoral district, they have fewer number of persons, but they all getting the same representative, getting the same amount of money. You come to Monserrado, one electoral district, the number of persons that are there, you compare to electoral district in Grand Cru or Riverses, they're nothing to compare. Or electoral district in Nimba, the population are there. So we need to have at least a threshold that if you say 45 to every 45,000 persons in the new arrangement, there should be one representative. That would make sense.
But that should be, Mr. Chairman, that should be the major concern of the current legislature, because they are there to ensure the electoral demarcation when the census result is out. But now the census result is not even held a year before elections. They are now thinking to conduct and conclude census from now to maybe probably earlier next year. So the current legislature that's supposed to ensure the constituency, the demarcation for constituency elections, they themselves are not put, because they should be questioning the president. So if they are not doing this, then of course we all will just imagine what's going to happen on elections or before elections, and these issues may just affect the conduct of elections. And like you said, election is not compared to other activities within agencies of government. So this should be a matter for the national legislature, the president, the political parties, civil society organization, and media grouping. And so, firstly, we want to say it's good that you are here. But let's look at the election commission itself. Do you think that body has any serious challenges that need to be tackled, that need to be handled before elections, besides the issue of the chairperson of the National Election Commission, since you occupied the position before?
Well, the commission, and nobody should get me wrong, they have some technicians there, some good people there. I mean, we some of the people that were there when we were there, they are still there, but we it's the head that gave people the courage. If people are disillusioned in an institution because they are there, they need to get a salary and what have you. But look at now what is obtaining. If the commission itself cannot hold together, as I said, the chairperson is seen as one person unilaterally doing things by herself, to the point now that her deputy has stood up against her. That is not a good sign. It's a bad omen for election, for any other way, because you need to be cohesive. I mean, as a team, in that commission, because any problem that spark up, and somebody could undermine the process just with inside. So you need not to have division among yourself. But if 6 commissioners are on one side and the chair alone, then obviously one doesn't need to go far to know that she's the problem. But as I said, if we have the counterpart commissioner, which should not be rural, to bring them in. These people are just coming to help us. They're not coming to say the favor one party or another. Everybody will benefit from their expertise, and everybody, including the government, should encourage it. Because left with these people, we can't get anywhere. Secondly, we should have an IT expert, international IT expert,
okay,
to join the data center crew that they have, because I know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Right now, they don't have that caliber of person. When we're there, we had a IT fellow, one David Cooley, very sound fellow. We conducted voter registration without any problem. If you look at the 2011 voter roll, it was problem-free, so to speak, compared to 2017, which was a mess. Because you don't have the fellow we had left the commission in 2014, David Cooley. He now served 3 countries, Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Cote d'Ivoire. Can you imagine? That's the kind of person we miss. So you not that we don't have people, but if you are looking for the best, we have capable Liberian. If you are looking for good Liberian, you go out there, you have them. So as I said, there are people within the commission who are good. The technicians are there, but you need to motivate. The leadership has to motivate the people honor. It can't be all about just yourself. If the people, morale, down, low, you can't expect much from them. So as I said, if you had an international team to come in and strengthen the board, we will not be taking anything from them. The commissioner can be there as they are doing, but we want the work to be done. As I said, I'm afraid
let me bring it
now, because we don't have a timeline now. If you can't be sure of when voter registration will begin, if you don't have you say you went biometric, you should have everything in country to know when you will start. And time is of the essence. Every day is important in election cycle. Every day.
I agree, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, there are a few concerns, and we want to see whether we get clarity from you. The Constitution of Liberia calls for absentee balloting, and neither you and I'm not sure whether this body can conduct absentee balloting, looking at the timing, but this is the constitutional call. That absentee balloting, those who are outside of the country can have an opportunity to vote. Do you think this current commission, even you yourself, when you were chairman, you did not conduct an absentee balloting? Is it possible to conduct that, to allow other Liberians outside of Liberia? Guinea is doing it. I think Ghana is also doing it. Other African countries are allowing their citizens outside to participate in their elections. Why not Liberia?
Well, see, I think the idea is good. As the regulator said, it was discussed during my tenure, and it was not possible because you need the mechanics that you need to have in place. Is other countries, the reason why all countries are doing it is because they don't have the mechanics in place. It takes a lot more than what people talk about. People who don't know much about election.
Okay.
Our time, yeah, as I said, we're trying to make some effort, but we're still far from it because you got me talk about America is a huge country.
Right.
I mean, I don't know, you want to extend to Britain and other area, whatever it is, to have people to make election outside of the Liberian territory. We thought it was just not that easy to do. And for now, for this commission, I don't even think they should be thinking in that direction. The focus should be to make the playing field level here in country. Let make sure that things are in place, because if I'm telling you all these things, I mean, the lapses that we're talking about, you don't say have a timeline,
Right.
which is so important. I mean, you can't be thinking about conducting election in the diaspora. I mean, that is just too far-fetched for this commission from where we are.
Okay.
Because we're never ever doing our time far off in terms of timeline. In fact, we came up with a timeline that was not just changed like that. Because people got to have trust in the system. You give a timeline, you stick to it. So I heard people about putting the diaspora. It's good you brought it up, but for God's sake, let's pay attention at home now, given what is on hand. I mean, the precarious situation that we are faced with the electoral management body, the challenges that they have on hand.
Okay. I agree with you that time is of essence, but if we're talking about upholding the Constitution, and this is not just for you, I mean, this is something that's happening in the current government a lot. There are a lot of constitutional violations. So this is just one of those issues I thought we just talk about it a little bit, because if the Constitution speaks, there should be no one, neither the president nor the chief justice or the speaker, none of them, they all should be there to ensure that provisions of the constitutions are upheld. And this is the point. So for the Constitution to call for absentee balloting, these people should have read the provisions that are applicable to them, so that from the onset of the government, they could have started making preparation before election. The lot of things that you're discussing now, those things should have been done ever since. Like people are now talking about balloting, biometric elections, and that would be my next question. Do you think biometric election is possible with all of the challenges you are talking about? Biometric election, do you think it's possible, or we just maintain the manual form of elections?
No, for now, what I'm saying that biometric is the best so far. But again, as I said, you can't just use it automatically. You need timing.
Right.
If we had planned for it sufficiently, we try with by-election. Like for instance, the last by-election in Lufa. If we had everything in country, you try it. That's a smaller scale election. You have problem, you will be able to make up whatever glitches you have. You will be able to cover up. But that had never been done. To just bring it, even if we're here now today, with all the training I talk about, which are not being done, for people to get used to it. I'm afraid we will have serious problem. That's what. Yeah. But if you did it in time enough, that would be okay. But again, it's political party just have to stand up, because they need to know that. You can be doing all the campaigning here and there, like football player jubilating, but if you go now, the fee is not ready, is Tony and what have you. All that jubilation thing amount to nothing. People are spending a lot of money, campaigning here and there. It's better we look at the commission. How prepared is the commission? How realistic? How many meetings are political parties having with the commission to ask some basic question?
Right.
You can't just be having rally going here and there and think that everything is rosy. No.
I agree with you. And I think even the National Election Commission should be having meetings, continuous meetings with political parties or political institutions.
You're so true. That's true. That's the IPCC. If they can't have it, then the party should call for it. You
Right,
know,
right,
the
right.
party should be the one to come for it because you
I
are the
agree.
end user, you know, as the
Right.
political party. The
I
leaders
agree.
are, it's not your supporter that will go there.
Right.
That will make you a leader to seek their interest by going to the commission to make sure that things are in place or not.
We're gonna be talking with you continuously, and we might call you back again to discuss the elections because from now on to next day elections, there's a lot of things that are still happening, and we need experts to be discussing these matters. But have you ever tried to whether they have called you, the commissioners, the board of commission themselves, to seek your expertise as to how they can help conduct election? Are they in consultation with you?
No, they never call on us, but we took upon ourselves. My
Okay.
colleague, Commissioner Jonathan Widow, who have been the most experienced election commissioner, he served 16 years.
Okay.
Very, very sharp fellow indeed.
Mm.
I thought for institutional memory they would have even kept him, you
Okay.
know, but they didn't keep him. I guess they got to be sure of you, you know, whether your CDC linkage and what have you, you know, and not looking at your output. This is the man, Widow. You need to talk with Widow. Very, very knowledgeable about election, even more than me. I said 16 years as commissioner, you
Okay.
know, of the election commission. They're not the kind of person a serious government want to, let go. You know,
That's true.
I mean, you have kept him institutional memory, the man who know a whole lot about election than anybody in that building there.
Okay.
Some of the people there are people that we recruited as a low level magistrate, data entry clerk, as the case may be. But as you ask the question, they never asked us. We took upon ourselves
Hmm.
to meet with them for them to even reply that letter.
Wow.
You know, we don't want behind that, but we don't want me to all them forget it until finally because Widow and the Reda they worked together for 7 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So and knowing that Widow, is out there, we have written you, So finally they agree. So they set a time for us to meet. When we told them, look, we're here, whatever assistance you need from us, we
Hmm.
are prepared to give because Jensen, we spent too much on that commission. It was under
Okay.
my leadership. Everything you see on
Right.
that street there is
Right.
through me, my
Right.
leadership.
Right.
You know, I didn't just go put my hand, do my leg. We were on 16th Street. NEC was on 16th Street.
Right.
We were paying close to 100,000 US per annum
Hmm.
as a rent. Can you imagine?
Wow.
I ran after two USA mission director
Hmm.
in my capacity as chairperson. Back then, because that place used to be USA headquarters
Right.
before the war. They had a building there. I mean, we thought because they told me to go look for a government building, they could renovate. But you had no government, no don't have structure. So I prevailed on them. Two different USA mission director, Dr. Wilbert Thomas, African American, and the last one was Dr. Pamela White. Pam finally agreed with me. They demolished that building, put that structure there as a headquarters. I said, okay, we need to have a national warehouse because government are renting another building as a warehouse across the bridge for $40,000 per year, US. We put a warehouse right on 9th Street there. We didn't have to worry about security. I said we need to also have a conference center, which is named after me when I left. The name of Jim Flomayan Conference Center at the place there. So just imagine from 2010, the headquarters was dedicated.
Right.
Up to this point, you're paying almost $100,000. Do the math and see how much government will still be paying.
Wow.
Because I mean, the poor can't pay. They will say no. They will say thank you to the poor.
Right.
Whether $10,000, $15,000 they give to the poor, we'll take it, and who will take more than the chair? But I was not looking at that. I was looking at we have a structure. The government
Right.
not paying
Right.
1 cent.
Right. Right.
There we have to do everything. You see, all that is my handiwork.
That's
Because
good.
some of us believe,
We actually think like any serious government would do. You could be a consultant to you and other past commissioners. I mean, could be looked at very seriously because election, as you said, is a serious matter. The result of election, if it's not free, fair, and transparent, especially the way things are going in the country,
Yeah,
you could have chaos in the country, and
I
that could
know.
get everything upside down. So you need experts. You need to get people who can actually evaluate. We hope the commissioners are listening and that they will take some of these discussions very seriously and see whatever they can do, so that they themselves, because the end result is what is good, for the
I know.
country, you know. But I want to ask you, with the current trend of event, if I was to ask you just to tell us from your observation, if election was to be held like tomorrow, do you think election will be free and fair, transparent, with all of what you have said?
Well, I mean, you have to have a mechanism that will make it free and fair. Firstly, from the observation we have made over time,
Hmm.
when election is free and fair, the poll will know who they want.
Right.
I mean, but when there's coercion,
Okay.
which we saw 2019 in just in Monrovia Hill, District 15,
Hmm.
but with Telia Ure, when the years of Madam Salib, government provided security for all,
Right.
including CDC. Nobody ever had problem. They have private security.
Well, we are having some glitches from I think there's some internet interference. So, well, we're talking with the former National Elections Commission chairperson, and that is Mr. James Flomayan. And he has a lot of concerns as to how we can have free, fair, transparent elections comes 2023. All right. And so he's still in conversation. And so we hope that the internet problem from that end will be solved. But this is the African Actions Network radio and television stations. And we are concerned about the 2023 election, the conditions that need to be conducive for the upcoming elections in Liberia. And so Mr. Flomayan is an experienced former chairperson. And so he's calling for, in fact, the chairperson of the National Elections Commission to be changed, Ms. Divieto Brown Lasana. Okay, he said that she has been involved in procurement processes without the approval of the PPCC, the yeah the PPCC laws, living by the PPCC law. Neither has she gotten the approval of the head of that institution. So these are concerns that we have. And Mr. Fluma has been speaking about those things. There was a thermometer bought, and according to Mr. Flumayan, she, did hire her brother, to procure those thermometers. And in the first place, those thermometers were too expensive, and that most of the thermometers, and as per the polling centers, you had less thermometer compared to the number of polling centers in Liberia. So he's thinking that she has been involved into some practices that were not very good for a commissioner. And he described that as being theft. So with all of those concerns, Mr. Fluma is saying, hey, George, we should do the honorable thing to remove the chairperson. And we asked Mr. Flomayan, the Constitution says the Election Commission is one of the autonomous public commissions, and that the laws governing that institutions allow a tenure position. He said, well, the tenure position, if you read what the law says, it says for cause, any of them can be removed. And he says that there are causes, not cause, for which the commissioner, the chairperson of the election commission, can be removed. He also said not because of the chairperson, but other commissioners are even doing well. He believed that the commissioners can be strengthened, that they can do a better job. But he's concerned about the timing and some of the events that need to be carried out before the actual elections. For example, the census that is ongoing, the way it's being conducted, no public information, no proper education to the public. So the result of census will definitely have an impact on the election, the upcoming elections. He said, well, we are living by electoral district. We are conducting elections by electoral districts. But in actual sense, there should be constituency elections. And those constituencies should be demarcated as a result of census elections. So these are concerns, and we think that these are concerns that Mr. Flomayan is raising. All right, the current legislature, they should be looking into this matter. They are being paid by the government of Liberia. The people's money, the taxes people paid, they are being paid. So they should be asking all of the general questions so that to ensure that there be a free, transparent process of an elections in Liberia. To do that, you'll be saving the country millions of dollars. You'll be protecting business people. You'll be making sure that there will be a free environment where Liberians can be allowed to vote freely, to elect people of their decisions. So here we are, Mr. Flomayan is saying, wait a minute, you need to keep talking to these people so that they can meet electoral timetable. He said it, and it's a factual information, that the National Elections Commission have conducted elections not in line with constitutional dates. And not just that, that blame is not only on the National Election Commission. The president took oath to protect and defend the Constitution. So any provision of the Constitution that is in violation should be a concern for the president, or should be a concern for the national legislature, should be a concern for the judicial branch of government. Because, hey, every one of them took oath to protect and defend the Constitution. So when the Constitution is in violation by anybody at any time, we think these people are supposed to call these persons to book so that the laws of the land can be protected. Well, Mr. Flomayan, for some reason, I think there's some internet problem. You all know the problem in Liberia. Sometimes you charge a phone, maybe electricity or whatever. If you don't have current means of charging your phone, or you don't have internet problem, you're going to have these kinds of discussions. So we want to say, well, this is where we are, and this is 2A Radio, the African Actions Network. Let's see whether we can take some comments while Mr. Flomayan is adjusted. We hope that Ty will adjust Mr. Flomayan's phone, and then they can come right back on. But we have a few concerns, but we also, even if we read the comments, Mr. Flomayan is not here to address those comments. All right, but we have a few comments, and this is Dennis King. He says, Jimmy, thanks for the education. Keep it up. Okay, we want to say Dennis King. We want to say thank you so much. Amos Y is saying the current lawmakers are sleeping giants. Well, we want to be low saver. We know that they are not doing some stuff, but they are our leaders. We look up to them. They need to listen, because even though we know most of them are going to go for elections, they are now like on the electoral field and sitting down at the Capitol building. But I put a Capitol building behind me because I know for sure that these people in there, they should be asking more questions to keep Liberia stable. For any reason, comes 2023 elections, if there will be a problem, nobody wants to see Liberia in chaos. And to do that is to step up to the game. Make sure that those who are placed in position of trust perform. In fact, if the president is appointing someone, there are issues that Mr. Flomayan has raised, and there are genuine issues. So, since these are general issues, there should be no reason why the national legislature cannot pick up these issues for discussions. The Committee on Elections in the House of Representatives should be listening to people of Flomayan and say, well, even Flomayan has published his letter. If the letter is not just a mere communication, there are issues in Flomayan's communication that should get the attention of the committee, the House Standing Committee or the Senate Standing Committees on Elections, and that they can pick up the letter and begin to discuss some of these issues that are being raised in former Chairman Flomayan's letter. By that, you have a way of saving the country from getting into chaos. But if you listen to some of these communications, some of these talk shows, and yet you fail to take the necessary action as an institution, The national legislature that's supposed to check on the executive branch of government. If you are not doing that, then you yourself, lawmakers, you are inviting chaos at the end of the day. Because if you don't have a transparent process, you don't have a free, fair elections, trust me, people are going to be questioning the electoral result. And some people may not be patient. They say, you know what, let's wait and go to the to the judiciary for a redress. People sometimes take a street. We have seen that before in the past. Most of these people in the legislature, you have history. Like we know a lot of permanent person in the player, communal research. Those are people who should be questioning the National Election Commission, should be raising the issue. Pick up Flomayan letter. He said, well, a permanent citizen of Liberia has raised this kind of issues. We need to look into it. And sometimes you sit with the president, coordination, sit with the president, look at the issues. Mr. President, these are genuine issues. What can we do? One person for the interest of 5 million persons, hey, no one should allow that in a very good democracy. But Mr. Flomayan is back. Let's continue with it. Mr. Flomayan, we were concerned about, or we were talking about, if you were to be asked today on the result of an election, let's assume tomorrow's election, even though you are talking loud, but we still want to keep these records. Do you think election can be free and fair from where we are, or there's a lot more still needs to be done?
I think it's too clear.
My question is, we're talking about the transparent process of conducting an election. From where we sit, from what has happened, if we were to conduct election like tomorrow, do you think we can have a free, fair, transparent elections?
Well, I mean, if I would make it conditional, I mean, because if we say we'll have election tomorrow, if all the variables that need to be in place that will call for peaceful, free and fair election, then I will see. But I'm not sure we have those variables in place to have free, fair and transparent election just at the snap of your finger. I don't think that is achievable, obtainable at this point, because as I said, you know, a lot of things, except we just been hypothetical in saying it.
Okay.
But yeah, there's still a lot of things not in place. They have not even election magistrates have not even gone to check structures, you know, the various places that because some of the structure that the commission can use private property over a period of time, some of them you know, can no longer be some owner can say they're not giving their property, or they will have demolished it, as the case may be. You have to negotiate with them, you know, on the field.
I agree with you. I agree with you that we cannot. If election was to be held tomorrow, we definitely cannot have a free, fair, transparent election. A lot of things still need to be done. But let me ask you just a few questions. We take the last comment. Time is not in our favor, and then we can call this a day. Let me leave election commission and ask you: do you have interest to contest any position in next year election?
No, absolutely none.
Okay. But what do you intend to do? To just be an advisor, or you are a private citizen? Are you retired right now?
Yeah, we have as I told you, we have a little NGO, Center for Development and Election Management. We can do consultancy. I mean, we can do training, pool workers, those type of things that we can be able to do. But not for me to say I want to, you know, contest to go, you know, to be representative or senator, as the case may be. No.
Okay, I get you. We have a few comments here, and we, as I said, time is not in our favor. Let's just take maybe one or two. There's a comment that says, "Good morning. Can you ask the former NEC boss if he regrets his mistake 2011 elections?" I don't know what a mistake is. The person who made that comment. Do you care to comment on that?
Yes. Well, I think I have spoken on this issue before, time and again.
Okay.
2011, we conducted an election. The first round came, and then I gave the result in the same building that named after me.
Okay.
Then we're told that, in 205, we sent a letter to the two parties that are going for the runoff because nobody won. Okay, there was a runoff.
Okay.
Contrary to what people were saying, CDC won, and if somebody wins, then there's no runoff. Period.
Okay. Right.
But to go for a runoff is a placement. That means no candidate achieve
50 plus
they
1.
require 50% plus 1 vote.
Right. Right.
That's what you can get 41, 49 or whatever. So how come you go for a runoff? And the two parties that are going for a runoff is what Jensen number and the other person number,
Okay.
that determines who had the highest number of votes.
Right.
When I gave the result before the letter, it was UP came first. There's no dispute over that.
Okay.
Then a communication that was sent to them that which I have my own reservation that the particular communication we have seen, the result was swapped. What was for UP was in CDC letter, but it went and was under my signature.
Okay.
Which was no big deal. Justin, let's get this clear. If people went on the field,
right,
the votes that you got all your people, they brought the result to you. If the chairman doesn't sit down and determine result by himself,
right.
The accumulated observers were there, they got their result. UP got a result. We just read the result. As I said, when I gave the result of voice, international media, everybody was there. Nobody complained. So if a letter went and said CDC came first, which is not the case, the records are still there. So what was the big deal in that? They have my name all over, the won election, blah, blah, blah. But again, as I said, some people have character.
Right.
I didn't steal. I didn't do anything like what the other did. Nothing. If I remain in office, let them challenge. I still challenge them, whether they came first or not. This body even have money to go for a run-up. And one thing I will tell you, you are in the US, sometime if you have a chance, talk to Ambassador Linda Thomas Greenfield.
Okay.
She have told me, and I'm saying this, quote me anytime, that CDC had gone to the embassy, they appealed to the State Department that I was the problem. Once I stepped down as chairman, they were going to go for the runoff. This lady, told me this. I didn't even know because Madam Sali never told me anything like that.
Okay.
But because they had carried my name all over, that I signed a letter, they came in lying, something that they never achieved up to this point. Because numbers are not perishable goods. What you achieve, the election commission is there, the records are there. So they carry my name around. I decided to step down on my own.
Okay.
As a man of character, of integrity, I felt that they were looking for a small screen. Okay. So how come I resigned? I didn't do anything wrong up to now. They could not take me to court.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, we
nothing. So they were making issue out of nothing. Here they are now, one of their persons sitting there with such a record. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
If you are in opposition, would they entertain her?
Right. Okay.
So, that's no issue to be to think that they are anything wrong. Absolutely nothing. They are the only one, they try to distort a story, and you can't take that anywhere because the fights are the fights. They came second.
Okay.
In that election,
Mr. Chairman, as we said,
you don't accrue anything. It's just placement.
Yeah.
2005, they came twice. UP came second in the run-up. UP came first. So what's the problem here?
That's noted, Mr. Chairman. We know that for sure. To occupy those positions, there's a lot of tension, and sometimes people, good about. But we appreciate the comment. The purpose of this show today, you have raised a lot of important issues, and we think the current commissioners, they should be concerned about the duties before them. We think the national legislature should take some key from some of these issues you have raised. Even the president office should also take issues of take note of some of these concerns that you have raised. The conduct of next year election is the problem, is our focus, and we want to see what goes on. Mr. Flomayan is no longer chairperson of the National Election Commission. He's mirroring the current commissioners, especially so the chairperson, and I think these are the concerns we're having. other stuff that have happened, the way it was handled, that's history. We all can read those history. Mr. Maston, Boyd, we hope that you also follow us on these discussion, and we will keep answering you even after this. This person says, Mr. Chairman, again, I said the day other again, I said the day other day that the opposition community and the civil society backed by the legislature to build fire on NEC to do the right thing legally. I think you're just talking about how pressure should be on the current commissioner so that they can do the right thing. Well, time is fast spent. We've gone about 5 minutes after the time we set. Mr. Chairman, what is your final comment or recommendations to the office of the president, to the legislature, to the National Election Commission? And then you just give a closing comment.
Well, I think first and foremost, people need to have their eyes open on the commission. I think we should not lay back until you are taken by surprise.
Right.
You have an oversight committee on the House on election, the Senate, and they need to wake up themselves, to make sure that you even pay a visit to the commission and see what's going on. Nothing should stop you from doing that.
Right.
And then for political parties, need to do a lot more than what they are doing. Instead of them being on each other's throat, right, they have a major task to make sure that the electoral process goes on impeded. At least we should make sure all is in everybody's interest, because the peace that we continue to enjoy, as fragile as it is, some of all pay a lot of price for it. Up to the time of the crisis. If I told you I left America to come here, you would think that I'm crazy.
I know.
I left America the very day Mr. Samuel Doe was captured, September 9, 1990. Wow. Went to Gambia, to where the interim president Sawyer was. ECOMOS had the leader and the advance team of the interim government. I volunteered to come in this country, September 24, 1990. The American refugee passport I had, I forgot about that. How many persons who have done that? Right. To leave, the safety of America, to come in a war zone. And I never went back except, just for a short visit here and there, because this country, some of us love it. We have spent a lot of time, fighting, struggling, teaching, and that's all, we've been doing. And we want to see it move forward. It hurts so much, if you go in the street, little children that should be in school. Right. You see them selling. Right. I mean, it's painful. Right. And we can do better than that. The country has resources, but it's just the way it's been squandered by just few people. And now with the regime, even in past regime. Right. But I guess it's a lot more pronounced today, so that we should have a government that will at least feel for the people, for once, feel for the people, and know that the resources that you're handling now, your personal property. So true. You know that. You'll be in office today, you won't be there tomorrow. Right. Think about those who are suffering, those who elected you. I think that's what matters. You see, you go Ghana. I mean, we are the only one who don't love our country. Right. I mean, it's so sad. We just don't love the country, and we don't do it. Nobody will love it for us. Overall, so I think we'll continue to liaise with those, that mean well, because to me, once we have free, fair, transparent elections, whoever the vote decide, I mean, we will live with it. I agree. We'll live here. I don't have any intention to go anywhere to live. Right. Yeah, I go Lofa, visit my home, come back, and that's all it is. But the contribution we have made to make sure that democracy flourish in this country. I mean, the records are there from the university campus days. Right. And that's what some of us still believing. Some of us have never changed. Position never changed us. We have been who we have been, and we want the country to go in the right direction. So I think I also want to thank you for developing interest in the election, because it is whatever achievement we'll be talking about, and a major achievement, that will be it. Nothing can supersede the election. Okay. So we continue to honor our invitation from you,
Right.
We provide our 2 cents worth of idea, as the case may be, because this is our home, and I will never lose hope that we
Right.
will be better.
Okay.
I mean,
That's
this country have gone, down and pick up. I think going down is not a problem, but your resolve to get up
right.
is what is important.
Well,
So thank you so
Mr.
much.
Chairman, we want to say thank you so much, and it was a pleasure and an honor to get you on our program this morning. Many persons we don't want to take invitations so easily to come, and discuss these matters. And as you said, even your call General Widow will do our best to also get to him to see how he can also come and give his expertise. Liberia's democracy can get better if people like you who are permanent citizens will continue to discuss these matters. You're not saying those things because you want to occupy a position. That's the primary reason why I ask the question: do you have interest in politics, in becoming a senator or representative? But the fact that you can mirror the system and say, I think it can be this way, when it is this way, the children of Liberia can benefit. Liberia can be better for other folks to see it going forward. And I think those are honest statements that some of us are looking for. So we want to say thank you so much for coming. We'd appreciate you, and we can get to you anytime. Keep your phone open. We can call you anytime just to come and share your knowledge with us. Thanks so much. It was a pleasure to have you with us.
Most welcome,
Okay.
and all the best to your staff.
Thank you so much, Mr. Flomayan. Again, we want to say thanks to Ty Ubi Garnett, who is on the field and conducting, helping also conduct this morning show. Also to Patient Blake, we want to say thanks so much for you guys being there. This is the African Action Network radio and television station. We want to say thanks so much. This is where we are, and this is how we do it. We come to a close at this point in time, and we say thanks for watching. Share the video and keep making your comments. We will be there to respond to some of your comments. Thanks, and have a pleasant and a wonderful day. I'm James.